The sweet and busy garden of colourful bee Hong Hong, in the garden full of tulips. There is a special little bee flying. Its name is Hong Hong. Hong Hong's wings are like sprinkled with rainbow candy, with red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue and purple light spots spinning and spinning. When gathering nectar, its down will be covered with golden pollen. Little butterfly Ying Ying always follows it to fly. Hong Hong is the little rainbow in the garden. It flies beautifully and has a heart sweeter than nectar. That early morning, little Aunt Guoguo's team was going to the rose bushes to gather nectar, but they were stopped by thorny flower branches. Hong Hong hurriedly flew over, gently pushed aside the thorny branch with her hind legs, and spat out a little sweet nectar as a signpost. Follow the fragrance of the nectar, and you'll be able to bypass the thorns. Guogu followed the fragrance through and waved her antennae, saying, "Thank you, Hong Hong. Your method works better than a small ladder." In the morning, the sun was scorching hot on the petals, and the little ladybugs on the sunflowers were almost dizzy from the heat. Hong Hong immediately flew to the lotus pond, dipped her wings in the cool dew, and sprinkled it on Diandian to cool it down. Then she took it to the shady spot under the wisteria flowers. "It's cool here. Come and rest for a while." Dion flapped her wings and said, "Sister Hong Hong, your wings are even more considerate than a little watering can." At noon, the friends in the garden were going to have a sweet party, but they were lacking sweet nectar. Hong Hong immediately gathered her bee companions and divided the work to collect rose honey, Sephora flower honey, and Osmanthus flower honey. She also mixed the different types of honey together to make rainbow honey sauce. Little Rabbit Rong Rong licked her paws and said, "This is the sweetest honey I've ever eaten. Thank you, Hong Hong." In the afternoon, a sudden gentle wind blew, causing the newly formed dandelion seeds to spin around wildly and unable to find a place to land. Hong Hong quickly used her wings to block the wind and guided the seeds to float towards the moist grassland. She also collected honey beside the seeds as a mark. "The soil here is fertile. Let's settle down here." The dandelion seeds swayed gently, as if thanking Hong Hong. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the garden a warm red, and the friends gathered around the rose bushes. Guagoob brings fresh and delicious apaffed eggs. Dion offers shiny dewdrops, and Rong Rong delivers tender and crisp clovers. Hong Hong lay on the flower stamens, the rainbow spots on her wings and the setting sun complemented each other. Her heart was filled with sweetness. It turns out that using her own wings and love to help friends, garden life is sweeter than honey. The warm and busy scene of the yellow rabbit's fluffy green grass slope on the hillside covered with tender grass. There was a golden little rabbit hopping around. Its name was Rong Rong. Rong Rong's fur is like melted butter. The tips of her ears are covered with small light brown fluffy balls. When she runs, her limbs kick very fast. Her tail is like a ball of jumping yellow balls. Little squirrel Tao Tao always lies on a tree branch and cries, "Rong Rong" is the little lightning on the hillside. She runs fast and has a heart sweeter than a carrot. That early morning, little hedgehog Tuanchuan was carrying wild fruits down the mountain when he tripped over a stone and fell into a small ditch. Upon hearing the commotion, Rong Rong immediately ran over, carefully pried open the soil by the ditch with her front paws, and then asked Tuanchuan to grasp her long ears and pull it up with all her might. "Do not panic, I'll pull you up." Tuanchuan shook his sharp thorn and said, "Thank you, Rong Rong, your ears are stronger than a small rope." In the morning, the sun warmed the hillside. Little Aunt Guaguo's team wanted to carry a big bean, but they were blocked by a small stream. Rong Rong had a sudden inspiration. She found a wide lotus leaf to use as a ferry, pressed the edge of the leaf with her front paws, and steadily pushed it to help the ants cross the river. "Sit tight. Let's go." Guagu shook her antennae and thanked her. "Your method is even more effective than a small bamboo raft." At noon, the little owner Duadwa was flying a kite on the hillside. The kite string got tangled in a branch and she was so anxious that she almost cried. Rong Rong immediately jumped under the tree, pedaled the trunk with her hind legs and jumped up, gently plucking the branches with her long ears to let the kite fall slowly. Duadwo hugged Rong Rong and smiled. "Rong Rong is so amazing. It's even more useful than the little ladder." In the afternoon, the mother goat found that her little lamb, Baba, was lost and was crying anxiously on the hillside. Rong Rong immediately pricked up her long ears and ran all over the hillside following the bleating sounds. Finally, she found the trembling bleating in the bushes and safely brought it back to her mother. The mother goat rubbed her head against Rong Rong and handed her a handful of fresh and tender clover. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the hillside a golden red, and the friends gathered under the old locust tree. Tuantuan brought sweet wild fruits, Guagu sent honeydew, and Duwadwu served crispy carrot sticks. Rong Rong was munching on the carrot sweetly, and the yellow fluff was shining in the setting sun. It knew that, even though it was short, it could help its friends with speed and courage. Such a life on the hillside was happier than eating the sweetest carrot, green crab pincers. Warm and busy notes on the reef in the crevice of the reef splashed with waves. There crawled a little emerald green crab. Its name was Kion Kion. The shell of the pincer is like an oiled emerald. Its two small pincers are round. When it climbs up, it holds firmly with a click-click sound. The bubbles it blows are all light green. The little hermit crab Dudu always follows it. Pincer is a little guard by the seaside. Its pincers are skillful, and its heart is sweeter than seaweed candy. That early morning, little Conclale was washed onto a dry rock by the waves, and its shell was almost cracked by the sun. Jianjian quickly crawled over, gently clamped Lele with her pliers, dragged it back into the seawater, and dug a small sandpit for it to hide in. "Do not get too close to the rocks in the future." Lele blew bubbles and said, "Thank you, Jianchen. Your pliers are more stable than a small trailer." In the morning, the sun was scorching hot on the rocks. Little Aunt Guoguo's team was trying to carry breadcrumbs but was blocked by a crack in the rocks. Quanjian immediately used her pliers to dig out the wet sand and fill in a gentle path. She also found seaweed to spread on it to prevent slipping. Walk along this path and you won't fall. The ants lined up and passed by. Guogu waved his antennae and thanked them. Your pliers are even more capable than a small shovel. At noon, the little owner, Duodwa, was picking up shells by the seaside when she accidentally dropped her beloved little hairpin into a crevice of a stone. Jianshan quickly crawled into the crack, carefully clamped the hairpin with pliers, and also helped Duodwo wipe the sand off the hairpin. Duodwo smiled and fed it dried fish. Jianshan is really my little helper. The pliers are even more dexterous than the small tweezers. In the afternoon, the tide suddenly rose. The newly hatched baby sea turtles could not find their way back to the sea and crawled around in a panic. Jianshan immediately used her pliers to draw a shiny path on the beach, blocking the running little seabirds and escorting the little turtles into the waves. The mother turtle swam back and thanked her by rubbing her shell against the pincers. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the sea surface a golden red, and the companions gathered on the rocks. Lely brought fresh seaweed, Dodo presented smooth pebbles, and Dua Dua brought fragrant dried fish. Holding a small dried fish in her hand, with shells given by her friends hanging on her pliers, she felt warm in her heart. It turns out that using her own little pliers to help a friend, the life by the seaside is even more lively than the waves. The heartwarming moments in the garden of the little flower sisters in the corner of the garden bathed in sunlight. Two small flowers are blooming closely together. The pink ones are called Duaduo, and the yellow ones are called Wang Wang. The petals of each flower are like soft pink gauze, and the yellow ones are like golden-plated little skirts. When the wind blows, they sway hand in hand. Little bees always hum around them singing. Each flower, yellow and lovely, is the little treasure of the garden. They are cute in appearance and sweeter in heart than nectar. That early morning, little Aunt Guoguo was going to the top of the mountain to collect dewdrops, but was stopped by a small puddle on the grass leaf. Tuodwo immediately bent down, allowing the petals to catch the morning dew and form a little boat, while Wang Huang swayed its leaves as oars, gently pushing the petals to send Guoguo across the river. Sit tight, we'll take you there. Guoguo waved her antennae and thanked her. Thank you, Sister Shaohua. Your petals are more stable than little wooden boats. In the morning, the sun was getting brighter and brighter. Little butterfly Yinging was so tired from flying that her wings drooped. Duodwo quickly unfurled its petals to provide shade for Yinging, while Huang Wang spat out sweet nectar to feed her, saying, "Take a break and regain some strength." Yinging drank the nectar, flapped her wings and flew around them. Your petals are more comfortable than the small pavilion. At noon, the little Master Duodwo came to the garden to draw, but couldn't find a suitable palette. Huang Huang had a sudden inspiration. He filled the petals with yellow pollen, and each flower used its petals to catch the light and shadow of the pink dawn, together forming a natural, colorful plate. The little master smiled and said, "This is the most beautiful palette. Thank you, little flower sisters." In the afternoon, a gentle wind suddenly blew, and the newly sprouted tender grass was blown hither and thither. Duo, and Wong quickly moved closer, blocking the strong wind with their petals and leaves, and sang softly, little grass, don't be afraid, we'll protect you." The tender grasses slowly straightened their backs and nodded gently at them. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the garden a warm orange, and the friends gathered around the little flower sisters. Guago brought sweet nectar, Ying presented shiny pollen, and the little master watered them with clear water. Duadua and Wang held hands. The dewdrops on the petals were shining. Their hearts were warm. It turned out that helping others together with good friends was the happiest thing in the garden. The warm night sky of the Star Sisters in the dark blue night sky, there are two golden little stars hanging. The elder sister is called Liang, and the younger sister is called Shanshan. Their light is like melted butter, closely packed together. When they blink, it's as if they are dancing a little. Little fireflies are always flying around them. Bright and sparkling are the little lanterns of the night sky. The light is warm, and their hearts are sweeter than the moonlight. That evening, little hedgehog Tuon was carrying wild fruits home. The mountain road was so dark that he couldn't see clearly. Liang immediately brightened the light and illuminated the stone in front, Shanshan. On the other hand, drew Lian Jingjing's path beside it. Tuan, follow our light and don't slip. Tuan arrived home following the footprints of light, waving her thorns and shouting, "Thank you, Sister Star. Your light is brighter than lanterns." At night, the team of Little Ant Guago was trying to carry food but was blocked by a small ditch. Liang and Shanshan quickly gathered their light together and built a light bridge over the ditch. They would blink their eyes from time to time to remind, "This side is flat. Pass here." The ants lined up to cross the bridge. Guagu waved his antennae and thanked them. "Your light is even more stable than the small stone bridge." In the middle of the night, the newly hatched little nightingale Shushu couldn't find its mother and was crying on a branch. Liang gently shone on it to keep it warm, while Shanshan winked at the forest, using light to call out to the nightingale mother. Soon, the nightingale mother flew over, carrying a little bug in her mouth, and thanked her. "Thanks to your light, my baby is not afraid." In the early hours of the morning, the little master Duadwo couldn't sleep and lay by the window, looking at the stars. Liang and Shanshan immediately formed a little smiling star, and along the moonlight they created light spots, dancing on Duadwo's palm. Duadwo smiled and counted their lights, gradually falling asleep, with a smile still playing on her lips. When dawn was approaching, the rising sun peeked out its little head, and all the friends waved to the Star Sisters. Tuan brought wild fruits drenched in dew, Guagu offered sweet honey dew, and Juju sang morning songs to send them off. Liang Liang and Shan Shan snuggled up, scattering the last ray of light upon the earth. It turns out that when good friends illuminate others together, the night sky becomes sweeter than honey. The little blue-winged bees buzz around the flower beds, warm and busy among the flower beds full of sunflowers. There is a special little bee flying around, buzzing. Body is fluffy and golden. The most amazing thing is a pair of transparent blue wings, as if they were dyed with the color of the sky. When it flies, it makes a buzzing sound. The wings also reflect colorful light. The mother bee always says, buzzing is a little rainbow in the flower bed. Its wings are special, but its heart is even warmer. That early morning, the little butterfly's colorful wings were stuck by the morning dew, and it couldn't fly. Buzzing hurriedly flew over, gently rubbed the dew off Kai's wings with its fluffy body, and flapped its blue wings to dry it. Kai, don't be afraid. I'll help you. Kai. Cai flapped her dry wings and followed the buzzing. Thank you, buzzing. Your blue wings are even more effective than small fans. How considerate. In the morning, when the sun rose, little Aunt Guoguo led her team to carry sugar grains, but was stopped by a small soil slope. When Wang Wang saw this, he immediately flew to the nearby Morning Glory vine, hooked the vine with his claws, and let the vine hang down to form a small bridge. Guoguo, it's easier to climb up from here. The little ants crawled steadily along the vine. Guoguo waved her antennae and said, Thank you, Wang. Your method is even more ingenious than a small ladder. How smart. At noon, little ladybug Dion couldn't find her mother and sat on a petal crying. Buzzing recalled seeing the ladybug mother in the rose bushes just now. He quickly flapped his blue wings to lead the way. The light of the blue wings was as bright as a little lantern. Dion, follow my blue light. Mom is waiting for you ahead. Dion followed Len Guang quickly to find her mother, flapping her wings and saying, Thank you, Wang Wang. Your blue wings are clearer than a signpost, so reliable. In the afternoon, the little girl Duaduo from the neighbor S house came to the flower bed to pick flowers and wanted to make a garland, but she just couldn't find the purple lavender. Buzzing immediately flew ahead to lead the way. Its blue wings fluttered, carrying each flower to the lavender field hidden deep in the flower beds. Duoduo held the purple lavender and smiled. Wang Wang, you are truly my little guide. Your blue wings are so special, like glowing little gems. In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky and it seemed that it was about to rain. Buzzing noticed that the grass leaf nest of the little cricket Lely was leaking. He quickly gathered his friends and used the petals and spider silk they had picked to help Lely repair the nest. It even specially used its blue wings to block the raindrops that were falling. Lely, don't worry, we'll help you reinforce it. When the raindrops fell, Lele's bed was extremely dry. She sang a song and said, Thank you, Wang. Your blue wings are stronger than the small umbrella. The setting sun dyed the flower beds warm golden. The friends gathered under the sunflowers and held a small sharing session. Taizai brought the most fragrant pollen, Guaguo brought sweet sugar grains, and Duo brought honey cookies. It buzzed on the petals, its blue wings shining in the setting sun. It said, "If I can help everyone, I'll have more energy to gather honey." The mother bee smiled and said, "The buzzing blue wings are beautiful, but the helpful heart shines even brighter." When the moon rises, it hums back to the beehive, brimming with nectar, and its blue wings occasionally flash a faint light. Because of the buzzing of the blue-winged little bees, this flower bed has become more lively and warmer. Such days are more pleasant than sweet nectar and more blissful than the shining blue wings. The night sky guardian of the owl cuckoo under the dark blue forest night sky. There stands a majestic owl named Gugu. Gugu's feathers are light brown with fine white spots. Its round face is set with two big eyes like copper bells. At night, it emits a soft green light. Its wings spread out like two flexible little fans. It flies silently. Grandma Squirrel always says Gugu is the night guard of the forest. Its eyes are bright and its heart is warmer. That evening, little hedgehog Kayuki wanted to look for wild fruits under the cover of night, but the forest was pitch dark, and she dared not move. Gugu flapped her wings and flew over. Her big eyes lit up instantly. "Cookie, don't panic. I'll be your little lantern." The green light spread out a shiny path. Cookie followed the light and found a full cluster of wild fruits arching her body. She said, "Thank you, Gugu. Your eyes are brighter than lanterns. Wild fruits are so sweet." At night, the little bat Haihei was catching insects when it accidentally bumped into a spider web and got its wings entangled. Gugu hurriedly flew over, gently pecking through the spider silk with its sharp beak, and also helped Haihei sort out the scattered fluff. "Haihei, be more careful next time." Haihei flapped its wings and flew up, smiling and saying, "Thank you, Gugler. Your mouth is more dexterous than a small pair of scissors. So reliable." At midnight, the concert of Little Cricket Lely was about to start when the small light beside the stage went out. Gugu immediately landed on a branch, warming up the big eyes light and illuminating the entire stage. Lele stood in the light and sang. All the little animals came to support her. After Lele finished singing, she shouted, "Thank you, Gugu. Your light is more beautiful than the stage lights." The concert was such a success. In the early hours of the morning, the little girl, Duwadwo next door, had a fever. Her parents were in a hurry to find a doctor, but no one was there to accompany her. Duwadwo was lying by the window and just saw the gurgling on the branch. Gubu seemed to understand her thoughts and stayed by the window all the time, casting a gentle green light on her small bed. Duwadua looked at the green light and gradually became less afraid. She said softly, "Gubu, you are so nice. With you by my side, I'm not afraid anymore." Just before dawn, the team of Little Ant Guagu was carrying grains when they were blocked by a small ditch. Gugu found a big leaf and held it down steadily with her paws to form a leaf bridge. Guago, quickly bring your friends over." The little ants walked steadily in a line. Guago waved its antennae and said, "Thank you, Gugu. Your solution is even more ingenious than a small wooden board, so consider it." The sun rose slowly. Gugu was getting ready to go back to the tree hole to rest. Its friends all came to see it off. Cookie brought sweet wild fruits, Hai shared some tips for catching insects, and Duodwa placed a plate of millet by the window. Gugu pecked at Xiaomi, her eyes narrowing into slits. "I'm the happiest when I can help everyone." Grandma Squirrel smiled and said, "Gugu's eyes will shine, and a heart that is willing to help others will shine even brighter." When the sunlight fills the forest, Gugu sleeps soundly in the tree hole. Thanks to the owl Gugu, the nights in this forest have become more peaceful and lively. Such nights are more pleasant than sweet wild fruits and make people feel happier than bright green light. The sweet and fun note of the grassland with red fruit strawberries on the warm grassland bathed in sunlight. There is a patch of bright red strawberries, and the most catching one is called Maymay. The fruit of Maymay is like a tiny red lantern covered with shiny seeds and topped with a tender green umbrella. It feels soft and has a sweet fruiting fragrance. The mother bee always says, "Maymay is the little sweet pearl on the grassland." It is cute in appearance and even sweeter in heart. That early morning, little Ant Guagu was carrying sugar grains on his back and was on his way home when he was blocked by a small soil slope. Maymay quickly shook her leaves and shouted, "Guagu, climb up along my vine." It bends the slender vines into gentle slopes, turning them into a green vine bridge. Guagu slowly climbed along the vine and waved her antennae at Maymay. "Thank you, Maymay. Your vines are more stable than small steps." In the morning, the sun rose slowly, making the ground feel warm. Little ladybug Dion couldn't find a shady spot and lay on the ground listlessly. Maymay opened the small green umbrella above her head, as if holding up a small red and green canopy. Dion, come here to cool off quickly." The dots landed on the soft leaves, and the cool touch immediately made it perk up. Flapping its wings, it said, "Thank you, Maymay. It's even more comfortable here than the shade of leaves, and it also has a fruity fragrance." At noon, little butterfly Tizai came back from gathering honey. Her mouth was dry, but she couldn't find any dew. Maymay remembered the morning dew condensed on her fruit and quickly said, Sai, come and have a drink of water." It gently tilts the fruit, allowing the shiny dewdrops to drip in front of Sai. Sai licked the sweet dew and regained her strength. "Thank you, Maymay. Your dew is sweeter than nectar and has the fragrance of strawberries." In the afternoon, the little girl Duadwo from the neighbor's house came to play on the grass. As soon as she saw the bright red Maymay, her eyes lit up. "Wow. This strawberry is so cute, like a little red gem." Duador gently squatted down. She didn't pick any fruits at will. Instead, she moved closer to smell the fragrance of the fruits and carefully pushed aside the weeds beside Maymay. Mime shook the fruit and turned the reddest and sweetest side towards Duarduo, as if saying, "Come and have a taste." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Mime thought of the little cricket Lele, who lived in the nearby pile of withered grass. Its little nest was unobstructed. Mime quickly spread out all her leaves, trying to spread them as wide as possible, like holding up a tiny green umbrella, just enough to cover Lele's little nest. When the raindrops pattered down, Lele hid under the umbrella and said with a smile, "Thank you, Mime. Your leaves are more effective than other leaves. I didn't get wet at all." The setting sun dyed the grassland an orange red. The friends gathered around Mime and held a small sharing session. The little ant brought sweet sugar grains. The little ladybug shared nectar. And Duadwo brought clear water and even watered Mime. Mime stood in the middle. The red fruit was shining gently in the setting sun. It said, "I'm the happiest to be able to help everyone and share the sweetness." Mother Bee smiled and said, "Mime's fruit is sweet, but her willingness to share is even more precious." When the moon rises, its moonlight spills over the grass, and the berries of red fruits seem to be coated with a layer of silver. Because of the strawberries, this small meadow has become sweeter and warmer. Such days are sweeter than strawberry juice and more dazzling than the bright red fruits. The sweet and fun forest notes of baby golden banana Wanwan on the banana tree by the forest. There hangs a bunch of chubby bananas. They are called Wanwan. The bens are dressed in golden coats, their bodies curved into tiny crescent moons. They feel smooth to the touch and are wrapped in a faint fruity fragrance. The monkey mother always says, "Bens are the little sweet fruits in the forest." They are not only sweet, but also willing to share happiness with everyone. That early morning, the little squirrel Tauto was pacing around anxiously under the tree. It wanted to have sweet bananas for breakfast. But the tree was too high to climb up. The bens were discussing. The banana at the bottom gently swayed and slowly slid down the branch, landing steadily in front of Tauto. Tao held a banana and peeled it open, the sweet juice flowing out. "Thank you, Wanwan. You are sweeter than honey." What a delicious breakfast. In the morning, the sun rose slowly, making the ground feel warm. The little ants passed by carrying biscuit crumbs, so exhausted that they lay on the ground panting. The little ants let the leaves gently droop down, as if holding up a golden canopy. "Little ants, come and rest." The ants hid in the shadow of the banana and licked the sweet juice seeping out by Wanwan. The team leader waved his antennae and said, "Thank you, Wanwan. It's more comfortable here than a big tree shade, and the sweet juice is more fragrant than nectar." At noon, little hedgehog Kuki was thirsty and couldn't find clean water to drink. The bens quickly let the sweet juice on their bodies drip slowly onto the leaves in front of Kuki. Kuki licked the sweet juice and immediately perked up, arching her body and saying, "Thank you, Wanwan. Your sweet juice is more thirst-quenching than spring water. It's so delicious." In the afternoon, the little girl Duadwo from the neighbor's house came to play in the forest. As soon as she saw the golden bend, her eyes lit up. Wow, this bunch of bananas is so beautiful, like a string of little crescent moons. Duardo gently touched Wanwan's coat. She didn't pick it off casually, but just moved closer to smell the fruit fragrance. The bends swayed their bodies, turning their yellows and sweetest sides towards Duardo, as if saying, "I'm so sweet." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. The Bens thought of the little ladybug Dion, living under the leaves, whose wings were afraid of getting wet in the rain. The Bens bent the branches down, blocking the gaps between the leaves with their own bodies, like holding up a little golden umbrella, just covering the dots. When the raindrops fell drip, drip, Dion hid under the umbrella and said with a smile, "Thank you, Wanwan. Your body works better than leaves." I didn't get wet at all. The setting sun dyed the forest a warm yellow. The friends gathered under the banana tree and held a small sharing session. The little squirrel brought pine seeds, the little ant brought cookie crumbs, and Duadwo brought clear water and even watered the banana tree. The Bens hung on the vines, their golden bodies shining gently in the setting sun. They said, "We are the happiest to be able to share the sweetness with everyone." The banana tree mother smiled and said, "The curved flesh is sweet, but the willingness to share is even more precious. When the moon rises, its moonlight spills over the forest, and the crescents are wrapped in the fragrance of fruits, as if sprinkled with a layer of silver powder." Because of the golden banana baby Wanwan, this small forest has become sweeter and warmer. Such days are sweeter than banana juice and more dazzling than a golden coat. The big-mouthed fish's whooshing brook helps me take notes. In the small river at the edge of the village lived a fish with a very special appearance. Everyone called it Hoo-Hoo. His body was greyish-blue. The most eye-catching feature was his big mouth, not pointed like other little fish, but wide and round. The corners of his mouth always seemed to be smiling, and even the bubbles he blew were larger than those of other fish. The hoo-hoo dorsal fin is wide and flat, like a small floating board. When swimming, it moves slowly but steadily. At first, the little friends in the small river were a little afraid of its big mouth, but later they found out that this big mouth is a universal little helper. That early morning, Hoo-Hoo had just found a little clam in the silt at the bottom of the river for breakfast when it heard a soft woo-woo cry. It was the little shrimp Lele. It was carrying a bag of water plant seeds it had just found, wanting to give them to its good friend downstream. But the current was too strong and it was too weak to wash them across. The water plant seeds were almost washed away. Hoo-Hoo swam over quickly and said gently to Lele, "Lele, don't worry. Put the watergrass seeds in my mouth and I'll help you carry them over." He gently opened his big mouth. Lele carefully put the watergrass seeds in his big mouth was like a warm little pocket, and he didn't hurt the watergrass seeds at all. He swam slowly across the rapids and steadily carried the watergrass seeds downstream. Lele waved his beard at Hoo-Hoo and said, "Thank you, Hoo-Hoo. Your big mouth is even more useful than my small back basket. So reliable." In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, the water temperature in the small river became warm. Little crab pincers found a pile of delicious snails in a crevice of a stone. But there were too many snails, and his big pincers simply couldn't carry them all. He was so anxious that he shook his pincers with a click-click sound. Seeing who swimming past, Keon quickly crawled sideways and said, Who, can you help me carry the snails? Your mouth is big, you can surely hold a lot. Who nodded and opened his big mouth. Keon put the snails one by one into his mouth. Who steadily carried the snails to Keon's home. Qianchen happily took out the biggest snail and gave it to Hoo. Thank you, Hoo. Your big mouth is the best porter. Let's eat snails together. The two chatted while eating. When their big mouths were stuffed with snails, they even made Qianchen laugh heartily. At noon, the little girl Duoduo by the river came to play house by the river. She wanted to find a small boat to let her doll cross the river, but after searching for a long time, there were only a few small leaves that were easy to break. Duoduo saw Hoo in the water and her eyes lit up at once. Big fish, can you be my little boat? I'll be very light. It seemed that Hoo understood. Slowly, he exposed his wide dorsal fin above the water. Duo carefully placed the doll on his dorsal fin. The doll sat steadily on it. Hoo swam slowly, as if carrying the doll across the river. Duoduo clapped her hands and laughed. Hoo, you are so nice. Your back is more stable than a little leaf. The doll can finally cross the river. He blew out a big bubble with a whooshing sound, as if saying, You're welcome. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Who recalled the little loach Dion living in the shallow water area by the river. Its home was in the soft mud. If it rained and the water rose, it would be very easy to be washed away. Hoo quickly swam to the shallow water area and said to Dion, quickly, get into my mouth. I'll take you to the deep water area to take shelter from the rain. Dion quickly got into Hoo's big mouth, and Hoo led it to a safe deep water area. When the raindrops pattered down, they didn't get wet at all in Hoo's mouth. After the rain stopped, Dion swam out of his mouth and wagged his tail at Hoo. Thank you, Hoo. Your big mouth is like a safe little house. I'm no longer afraid of the flood. In the evening, the setting sun died. The small river Uringdred, Hoo was lying on a big rock at the bottom of the river, surrounded by Lele, Qiantian, Diandian, and Duoduo, broke off a little of her small cookies and threw them into the water. Lele shared the remaining watergrass seeds. Qianchen brought sweet snail meat. Everyone wanted Hoo to taste it. Hoo ate slowly, his big mouth stuffed with food, and his face seemed to be smiling even more happily. Suddenly, he felt that his big mouth was nothing strange at all, being able to help Lele carry water plant seeds, help Kyonjian carry snails, be Duodwo's little fishing boat, and take a little shelter from the rain was much more interesting than just looking for clams at the bottom of the river. When the moon rose, Hoo-Hoo was still swimming slowly in the small river, with its wide dorsal fin occasionally sticking out of the water like a small floating board that could move. The small river is quiet, with only the whoosh-whoosh sound of the water flowing over the stones. Because of the whoosh-whoosh, this little river has become more and more lively and warm. Such days are sweeter than delicious snails, and more reassuring than big mouths. It's red beetle, red striped grass exploration record in the lawn of the community. There is a particularly conspicuous little beetle hidden. Everyone calls it Hong Hong. He was dressed in a shiny red shell, as if wearing a small coat made of rubies. The edges of the shell had a faint golden border. When the sunlight shone on it, it could reflect a warm light. Even the butterflies that flew by couldn't help but take a second look at him. Hong Hong has 6 slender, short legs. She climbs fast and steadily. She can also climb up along the grass stems and stand at the top of the leaves to look out. The little insects in the grass all say Hong Hong is the little sun in the grass. Following him, you are sure to find something good. That early morning, Hong Hong had just finished gnawing at the sweet dew on a clover leaf when she heard a soft woo sound. It was the little caterpillar Ruin. It wanted to find its mother, but the rain last night had messed up the path among the grass leaves. Ruin was spinning round in the same place, unable to even tell directions. Tong Hong quickly climbed to Ruin's side and deliberately pointed her red shell towards the eastern sun. Ruin, don't worry. Follow my red shell. The direction where the sun rises is where my mother often goes. He crawled a little slower to allow Ruin to keep up. The red shell stood out conspicuously among the green grass, like a small signpost. It wasn't long before the call of the caterpillar mother came from afar. Ruin threw herself into her mother's arms and turned back to shake her body at Hong Hong. Thank you, Hong Hong. Your red shell is brighter than the dewdrops on the grass leaves. I won't get lost at all following you. In the morning, the sun was slowly rising. Guogu, a little ant in the grass, along with her friends, was looking for breadcrumbs. But they searched for a long time without finding any. Guogu saw Hong Hong lying on the dandelion, basking in the sun, and hurriedly ran over. Hong Hong, can you help us find breadcrumbs? Your eyes are bright, you can surely see. Hong Hong nodded and slowly climbed along the grass stem, her eyes intently fixed on the grass. In no time, she noticed a small crumb of bread hidden under a fallen leaf. She gently pushed the leaf aside with her red shell, and the crumb was exposed. Guogu happily called her friends over and gave Hong Hong a small crumb of bread. Thank you, Hong Hong. Your eyes are sharper than our antennae. We finally have something to eat. At noon, a little girl named Duo from the community came to the lawn to do her nature observation homework. She squatted on the ground, trying to find a brightly colored little bug to draw on, but after looking at several of them, they were all green or black, which made her look a bit listless. Suddenly, she saw a tinge of red moving on a blade of grass. It was red. His red shell stood out particularly in the sunlight, and Duodwood immediately fell in love with it. She quickly took out the drawing paper and began to draw carefully in front of Hong Hong. She even deliberately painted the golden edges of the shell very bright. After finishing the drawing, Duodwo gently touched Hong Hong's shell and said, "Hong Hong, you are so beautiful. I'm going to stick your drawing on the exercise book so that the teacher can have a look too." Hong Hong crawled around Duodwo's drawing paper as if saying, "Thank you so much." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Hong Hong thought of the little ladybug Diandian living under the mushroom umbrella. Its back shell was cracked a little by the wind yesterday, and it was afraid of getting wet from the rain. Hong Hong quickly climbed to the side of the mushroom umbrella and gently covered Dion's back shell with her red carapnia. Although his carapnia was small, it could block the tiny red Diandian, hid under the shell and shook the spot at Hong Hong. "Thank you, Hong Hong. Your shell is like a little shield, stronger than mine. I haven't got wet at all." Hardly had she finished speaking when raindrops began to fall, drip, drip, drip. It was not until the rain lessened that Hong Hong, along with the dots, climbed under a large lotus leaf to take shelter from the rain. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the lawn orange red. Hong Hong was lying on the largest blade of grass, surrounded by Ruan, Guogo, Diandian and Duodwo. Duodwo brought a small piece of sweet apple to Hong Hong. Guoguo shared the breadcrumbs she found, and Diandian was still basking in the sun on Hong Hong's shell. Hong Hong was munching on an apple, looking at her friends' smiling faces. The red shells were shining warmly in the setting sun, and her heart was filled with sweetness. Suddenly, he felt that there was nothing wrong with his shell being a little redder and smaller in size. Being able to help Ruan find her mother, help Guaguvo find breadcrumbs, be Duodwo's little model, and shield Dion from the rain was much more interesting than just basking in the sun in the grass. When the moon rose, Hong Hong hid in a closed morning glory, and its red shell looked like a tiny red gem under the moonlight. The lawn was quiet, with only the rustling sound of the evening breeze caressing the grass leaves. Because of Hong Hong, this small lawn became more and more lively and warm. Such days were sweeter than sweet apples and more beautiful than red shells. The red apples are a sweet memory in the orchard in Grandpa's orchard. There is a luxuriant apple tree. In the middle of its branches hangs the most eye-catching apple, which everyone calls Hong Hong. Her body was plump and round. She wore a bright red coat with a faint luster, as if smeared with a layer of sweet honey. On her head was a small green hat, 2 tiny apple leaves. When the wind blew, they swayed gently, as if greeting a passing bird. When Hong Hong is not yet ripe, it is green. Once it has been exposed to enough sun, it will gradually turn red from the tip and eventually become fully red and lustrous. It will also give off a sweet apple fragrance. Even butterflies flying by can't help but stop on the leaves to take a sniff. That early morning, Hong Hong had just been moistened by the morning dew and shone when she heard the anxious Gigi sound. It was the chirping of a little sparrow. It had been flying for a long time, its stomach growling with hunger, but it couldn't find anything good to eat. Shushu landed on the apple branch and smelled the sweet fragrance on Hong Hong. Its eyes lit up immediately, but it was afraid that its little paws might damage Hong Hong and dared not approach. Hong Hong quickly shook the small apple leaf on top of her head and said, "Shoo shoo, don't be shy. The fragrance on my body is inviting you." Shoo shoo carefully pecked at a small mouthful of the red flesh. Sweet juice spread in its mouth. It happily flapped its wings and said, "Thank you, Hong Hong. Your flesh is sweeter than nectar. I'm finally not hungry." In the morning, the sun rose slowly. The little snail in the orchard was slowly looking for the sweetest dew, but after crawling for a long time, it only found a few slightly astringent leaves. Slowly, I smelled the sweet and red fragrance. I climbed up the tree trunk slowly and waved my antennae at Hong Hong. "Hong Hong Hong, do you know where the sweet dew is?" Hong Hong pointed at the morning dew on her apple leaf. It was something she had deliberately kept, shiny and still, carrying the fragrance of apples. Slowly lying on the apple leaf, she sipped the dew in small mouthfuls and shook her shell at Hong Hong. "Thank you, Hong Hong. Your dew is much sweeter than the one I found, and it even carries your fragrance." At noon, Duadwo, a little girl from the neighbor's house, came to the orchard to help her grandpa pick fruits. She immediately saw the reddest one in the middle of the branch, Hong, and her eyes lit up. "Grandpa, this apple is so red. It must be extremely sweet." Grandpa smiled and nodded, then brought over a small stool and asked Duadwo to carefully pick off Hong Hong. Duadwo held Hong Hong in her palm, reluctant to eat it right away. She whispered to Hong Hong, "Hong Hong, you are so beautiful. I'm going to take you to Lele to have a look." Hong Hong lay in Duadwa's palm, feeling the warm temperature and feeling sweet in her heart. It turned out that she was not just an apple, but could make a child so happy. Duodwo took Hong Hong to look for her good friend Lely. When Lely saw Hong Hong, he immediately cheered. "Wow, this apple is redder than any I've ever seen. Let's treat it as the little star of snacks and playhouse." They found a clean lotus leaf as a plate, placed Hong Hong in the middle of the leaf, and also found a small branch as a fork, playing the afternoon tea game, one after another. Tired from playing duo and Lele shared Hong Hong together. They took bites each other, and the sweet flesh made both of them laugh so hard that they squinted their eyes. Lele said while eating, "This is the sweetest apple I've ever eaten because I shared it with Duadu." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Hong Hong recalled the little ladybug Dion in the corner of the orchard. Its back shell was a bit cracked and it was afraid of getting wet by the rain. Hong Hong quickly asked the apple friends who had not yet been picked to shake the branches, using the rustling of the leaves to remind Dion. Dion heard the sound and quickly climbed up to the branch hanging in front of Hong Hong. This apple leaf was big and green, just right to keep off the rain. But when the raindrops tick-tock fell, the dots lay under the leaves and shook the spot in the direction before Hong Hong. "Thank you, Hong Hong. Your reminder came faster than raindrops. I didn't get wet at all." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the orchard orange red. Grandpa washed the apples he had picked and put them in a plate. Duadwo and Lelies surrounded them. He also invited Juju and Mung Mung. Mung Mung was lying on the edge of the plate to have a sharing session together. Grandpa picked up an apple and said with a smile, "Look, the tiny apple can not only fill your stomach but also help your friends and bring you happiness. That's the sweetest part." Duadwa and Lely nodded half understandingly and picked up another apple. Today's apple seemed sweeter than usual because it was filled with red enthusiasm. When the moon rose, the orchard was quiet, and the remaining apple branches were still swaying gently. Although Hong Hong was eaten, her sweetness remained in Duadwo and Lele's mouths, and her enthusiasm stayed in Juju and Mung Mung's hearts. But when Grandpa was clearing the plates, he carefully collected the red fruit pits, planning to plant them in the orchard again next year. He knew that next spring new apple saplings would sprout here and new reds would grow, continuing to spread sweetness and joy in the orchard. Such days would be sweeter than apple flesh and more vivid than the red coat.